Hi everyone, and welcome to the Forever Projects, which is how we refer to the work we have to do on our land here. So we thought we'd make a little YouTube channel about it. As you can see, weeds, lots to do there. I can turn the camera around, you'll see more weeds. There you go, you can get a full 360. So we bought our land back in 2016, 2017, and it was a 1 acre field with a dilapidated barn in the corner down by the road. So we bought it with a view to converting into a house, or whatever we were able to do with it. It was a massive gamble, but luckily it paid off, and we were able to get planning permission, and we have built a house, which I'll show you over here. There you go. We'll talk about that more over time. Look at some of the projects we've had there, some of the projects still to go. There's lots of stonework to be done. The whole garden, everything needs re-landscaping. We're still living. This behind me here is a huge spoil heap from where we had to excavate out the back of the house. So we've got absolutely tons of projects lined up. Sorry, horseflies. And we're hoping to document everything and bring you guys along with us. So if you are into stonework, gardening, landscaping, building work, we're going to be redoing the whole front garden, driveways. There's going to be sort of a Mediterranean feel to it. A lot of it will be very cottage gardeny. If any of that sounds like it appeals to you, then give us a like and a subscribe. It would go a long way to helping us build this channel up. And yeah, what I thought I'd just do now is give you a little tour of the land so you can kind of see what we're working with. And yeah, so as I go around, I'll tell you a few of the projects we got on. So this little patch of land directly in front of me now is, well, it was brambles 1 year ago, which we completely cleared. It's now been taken over somewhat with dock and nettles, but they're not a problem. Nettles used to bother me, not anymore. Even these thistles, they look great. The bees love them. As soon as those seed heads come out, you just burn off those seeds before they have a chance to drop, and they won't be a problem next year. This whole patch, in fact, was very, very recently cleared, wood chip put down everywhere, and turned into a little camping spot. You can just about make out a campfire still there. And there's another whole area over here, which I'll walk around in a sec, where we had a bell tent, and my daughter had a birthday sleepover down here. But that was 4 weeks ago, and things grow very quickly in the summer here. The nettles and stuff. I mean, this was completely wood chipped here, and you almost wouldn't know it was there at all. But the wood chip actually was put down to build up the soil level, because this was also previously a spoil heap, and the topsoil is all but gone. So we're trying to regenerate and rebuild a lot of the field as we go with wood chip and moving things around to the right places. You can see here our trusty mower and trailer, and the wheels on that trailer have seen better days, and sadly it is sunk into the ground. I think that both tyres are gone at the moment, but later today I'll be emptying that out. We're kind of clearing a space down below to work on our garden walls and dumping that spoil up here. We've actually got a digger coming in a couple of weeks, so we're going to start to re-landscape this. And I trimmed all this nettle you see here. Let's move the camera up a bit. All this nettle you see in this area, that was all brambles as thick as that a couple of months ago now. I trimmed it all down to nothing, and obviously that's then given all the nettles a chance to boost up, which I don't mind. They're really easy to trim back down when the time comes, and it's a whole different habitat. We get all the caterpillars and butterflies on the nettles, and at the moment there's birds nesting in here, so we kind of got a lot of nature happening. So we don't mind the mess so much, but we are trying to get it under control. Controlling the mess is a key part of this plan. I'll just take you guys on a little walk. You can have a look around. So we're just walking into the orchard area now. Again, bit of a sorry state, but it's hard to tell with all the green on video, I know. This is a Red Delicious apple tree, which the rootstock was coming out at an angle when we originally planted it, and it just continued along that line. So we actually chopped off half the tree earlier in the year. It came right out to here, in the hopes that these side branches will become the new lead branches going up. So far so good. We might take that bottom branch off just because it doesn't do it any good to be touching the ground. and we need to trim all around this. So another big project to come is re-landscaping around the apple trees. There's lots of apple trees, cherry trees, plum trees, and they all need re-landscaping, wood chipping, mulching, so that they can be as healthy as they can be. This area here is that campsite I was talking about. So you can see that's also completely grown over, even though it was wood chipped not long ago. Now, in this part of the field, I have to avoid not only the brambles, but the horsefly, because the horseflies really love living in this long grass and in the brambles and anything really in this heat as well. They're a big fan of the sun. So, oh look, I'm not quite ready. We'll be back here when those ripen up a bit. Horseflies in my ear. So let's work our way up the orchard. I'm going to tempt fate here by saying never actually, no, I'm not going to say it. I was going to say something about ticks in this field, but I won't say it because it's just not worth tempting that fate. What we tend to do is mow paths through the field, like the one in front of us now, and just helps us to walk around a little bit easier than wading through the long grass, but it makes sure as much habitat as possible can stay there for butterflies and everything else that lives here. Ooh, what have we got here? One of the neighbours' cats. A lot of the local wildlife chooses to stay here. We've got farms all around us, so obviously those fields get ploughed and worked, and then we have other fields where hunts happen. So we often find that pheasants and foxes and everything else, deer, they all come to live in our field because it's safe, which is nice. It's the first ripening plum from this tree. We have another plum tree here. They're still green. Oh, there's a couple ripening up nicely. Mostly still green, but you can probably just see them in there. Oh, look at that big clump up there. Lovely. All right, I am being eaten alive by the horsefly, so I'm going to speed up a bit. So this whole section down here is our orchard, which we planted most of it over the last 6 to 8 years. We get a lot of fruit from it. Not so much with the plums, but hopefully they'll increase. I'm just walking up the back side of the field now. So one thing about our land, we used to run a veg box scheme, not officially organic, but organically grown, no dig veg box for some people in the village. And believe it or not, this whole section here, now totally overgrown, was once, I think it was something like 20 metre veg beds growing brassicas, onions, everything really, beetroots and all sorts. Probably about 20 or 30 different vegetables, all pumpkins and squash, everything, all that stuff. It was all growing here for several years, but sadly when you stop actively maintaining a vegetable bed, it immediately becomes weeds again. So that's what's happened here. But we have got plans afoot for this whole section. We've already mowed a path. Let's see if we can see it, whether it's already overgrown again. So this grass you see in front of us was mowed a week ago, 2 weeks at the max, and it's already massive. Oh, we also have a small willow coppice that's being swallowed by nettles. So lots of our projects are going to be, you know, setting up a camera, restoring a willow coppice. Look at this, a lovely willow that only got planted as a whip this season. So you can see they're doing really well. They will do even better if they're not being swamped by dock. It's mostly dock here. If we clear all these nettles all the way around, get that dock down, we'll be able to mow up between these paths. There's a lot of wood chip in there, which is doing something, but not enough. Should probably have gone much deeper with the wood chip. You can see the path up here that leads through. We have another little camping area where we do sort of wild tribe with the kids, and we have campfires and whittle and all that sort of outdoory fun. Look for bugs, all that. There's no shortage of those here. So we're going to be expanding this area though and making another campsite up here because it's actually a lot flatter than the bottom. And over time, we'd actually quite like to put in a greenhouse frame that we've got that's going to go over here just for plants to grow up, like deliberate plants, not weeds like this. But yeah, re-landscaping all of this, and hopefully a sort of dining area up here as well would be great, because from up here we have a pretty amazing view. I apologize for the heavy breathing if you're hearing that. Right, so let's head up to the top section of the field, which is was the primary growing space when we had the farm. And you can see here, this polytunnel looks abandoned. It's actually in use. And this damage happened last winter when there was a storm. We always have storms around sort of late December, early January, and it busted the door and broke the frame on the other side. But the tunnel's still standing, so we're happy. And you can just about see over there our greenhouse. That has really exploded in the last couple of days. I'm going to get closer to it in a second. But that is a grapevine which has swallowed the greenhouse and is, as you can see, completely out of control. So that needs cutting completely back. And we're going to basically fix the whole greenhouse up, put perspex in instead of glass, because we lost all the glass in the storms, and turn it back into a usable space. Maybe somewhere where we can put pots of blueberries, things like that need ericaceous soil. Right, let's walk around the back of the tunnel. Should definitely have mowed before I did this. Just dodging thistles, nettles and brambles. Well, there once stood an absolutely enormous, like taller than those trees, maple. And it had the perfect branch that came out sideways and then went up. And we planned to turn it into a greenhouse for a long time. And then one day we came home, looked out the kitchen window and thought, there's something missing out there. And then suddenly thought the tree's gone, it's fallen down. And the horror that at the time we were running our farm, the thought that it would have fallen straight through the polytunnel here would have basically been game over. But luckily for us, it fell into the neighbour's field, and where they have horses, but nothing was hurt. The horses were already inside. So we chopped all that up and we've got a fairly ridiculous amount of firewood now. So this is the polytunnel as it currently stands, which is a bit of a sorry sight, but there are tomatoes doing well mixed in there. There's lots of tomatoes growing actually. Cucumber plants coming up. They tend to shoot up from over the next month. So yeah, this half of the tunnel, this end, is going to remain as a vegetable garden. We used to have the whole tunnel for tomatoes when we were selling them, but obviously we don't need that volume now. But what we're going to do is keep this end for growing. We're going to take down, this is a propagation table on the side here, this thing. That's going to get reduced. It's incredibly heavy because it's full of gravel and sand. So we're going to chop the legs off, make it a bit smaller and more manageable, and just tidy up in here generally so this becomes a usable growing space, because at the moment it's just full of, well, as you can probably see, it's just full of old farming materials, trays and pots, and it's all still usable but just not as it is now. It just needs a good tidy up. But yeah, as you'll see over the course of some of our videos, we've been very busy, lots to do on this land, so some of these things always fall by the wayside. And the other plan for this polytunnel is at the far end, so from where you see that plastic on the ground, that onwards, we are going to completely clear, membrane it, just because you can see what the weeds are like if you don't, and we really don't have time to spend our entire lives weeding. That was one of the things that killed our farm, was the sheer volume of weeding, because we were no dig and we were trying to do everything organically. We weren't spraying anything, all of that. But at the end of the day, weeds are weeds and you've got to deal with them. So what we're going to do in here is get some membrane down, gravel down, and we're going to plant, I think 4 or 6, depending on space, citrus trees, nectarines, all that sort of stuff, and make that end of the tunnel a really nice sort of Mediterranean escape where we can sit in the heat. Right now in the tunnel, it is 30 degrees, but it has a high of 40 from last week, 41. So it gets toasty in here. I think the Mediterranean stuff is going to do well over the years. It's obviously only going to get hotter with the way the planet is. So yeah, we're going to make this into something really nice, somewhere we can spend time, and somewhere we can get some of those fruits and things that would otherwise have to be imported. It would be really great if we can grow our own. I have a kind of dream for this place being a bit of a solar punk paradise over time. Growing our own stuff, lots more solar panels. The house is covered in solar panels, but I want to bring them up here, extra storage. We've got our watershed over there where our drinking water comes from a well, and there's a treatment plant in there, which at the moment is on the mains, but I would really love to get that all running off of solar with a mains fallback. We're on the mains, and that's not going to change anytime soon. But it'd be great if we could be using solar for at least half the year while the weather's good. And you can see here, yeah, this is the top section. This was our old wash and pack station from the farm. This was actually our kitchen and bathroom, because we lived up here for 18 months when we were working on the house. The whole of that space there was a giant, I think it was an 8-meter wide yurt. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was big. And we had like our full living room and bedroom, and we had our 18-month-old daughter at the time, all in that yurt. So I built this cabin on the side so that we would have space for cooking and a shower. There's proper plumbed in shower, hot water and everything from a like gas powered water heater. It was great. We were there for 18 months or so before we moved into the house, and yeah, you never know, maybe we will one day again. Yeah, let's have a look at that greenhouse so you can see how crazy these weeds are. But yeah, we'll get this under control, make it somewhere really nice that we can actually use. We've got loads of bricks that we got from a neighbour that we're going to be making a path all the way around, so it's going to stop those nettles from getting that close to it again. There is a stone wall under there that we built as a level base, but then that brick path is going to come all the way along and meet up with the other end of the polytunnel, so there'll be like a constant solid path there. This space on the other side of the path, we've got a berm back there which just needs constant trimming. That's not the end of the world. You can see a cherry tree here which is doing really well this year. It did have cherries on it, but I suspect the birds will have had their way with them. Yeah, I don't see any cherries now, but still doing really well, so we're happy with that. And we're going to get another cherry tree in just next to it, and then we'll hopefully be able to run a net from the greenhouse across the top. We may even put that greenhouse frame we were talking about over there, and then we can kind of make a giant netted garden here. We can grow all our berries on that side. This whole space here was growing space. There was, I think it was 12 or 13 vegetable beds, each 15 meters long here, where we primarily grew our salad leaves, loads of lettuce. That was really popular. We used to sell that to restaurants and shops and all sorts. It was really fun to do, but a huge amount of work, and ultimately not enough profit. Well, not enough money to let alone have a profit. So yeah, maybe again in the future. Hey, if this YouTube channel takes off and starts paying some bills, we would love to get back into doing the farm. So, you know, hit that like and subscribe again, share it with any of your friends who are into this sort of thing, being off grid or homesteading or any of that. And particularly, we're in the UK, which is not the sort of place I tend to see on YouTube. Everyone's in Portugal or Italy or America or Canada doing these things. The UK is definitely a lot harder. It's more expensive. It's harder to get permission to do things. But so hopefully that will help us to stand out a little bit. I'm in a real hotspot of horseflies here, so I'm going to keep moving. You can see this is we call it the grandmother tree. Big apple tree. That was a £5 sapling from Tesco about 8 years ago. I'll see if I can find a picture and put it in of what that looked like when it went in place. But it's huge. Last year we got 16 vegetable crates of apples just from that one tree. So yeah, that's just a little rundown of the field, what we've got. There's loads more to it. There's tree houses buried in the trees over there. There's, you know, raspberry patches, Christmas trees. We plant a Christmas tree every year. Horseflies, all sorts. I'll take you down. I'll just give you a quick preview of a project that's in progress, which is our stone wall and back garden. Oh yeah, while we're here, let's just have a quick look at this. So, again, overgrown. But this is what's left of that tree that fell into the neighbour's field, and there's absolutely tons of it left. Years worth of firewood there. I just come out every now and again and break some up, but we've currently got nowhere to stack it. We've run out of space, so I will be building something else. We're going to build little stores of it down where the campfires are, just to spread it around a bit. So this weekend, all these brambles here, that is all going to be going all the way up to here. Clear all of that, because we have a digger coming the following weekend, and I want to be able to get up there with the digger to pull all the rock out, because there is a huge amount. That was our house, we'll come back to that another time. But there is a huge amount of rock buried up here from our bits of the old house that had to come down that were unstable, and we rebuilt it. You can see there it was rebuilt with all the original stone. Nothing was brought in, it was all just what had come out of this wall went back into this wall, but there was a lot left over. So yeah, you can see it's all in here, and this is spread all the way along. I've already taken literally tons of it out by hand, but you'll see a little video of this project that will hopefully be out next week or the week after, and you know, give you little sneak peeks here. There's areas that we've cut away by hand, but it's a lot of work. There's a lot of rock in there, so we are getting the digger in and yeah, getting this cleared. So this is going to be the first main project, is going to be clearing this, turning this into a lovely terrace with hopefully an olive tree, definitely a fig tree, cutting back all this growth here, which we'll explain in the other video, and then building a massive dry stone wall all the way along here, wrapping around and up into the field. So that's our first major project. We've then got a cinder block wall and staircase being built here to go up to that garden, which is completely overgrown, shockingly, and that will in the next year become a big dining space that we'll be able to spend time up there. There's going to be a little mini plunge pool in the corner for cooling off on days like today, and all of this here is going to be transformed from scrap heap to lovely cottage garden. So it's going to be a bit of a mixture, Mediterranean and cottage garden, but we'll pick plants that work well in both. I think it's going to look nice. But yeah, come back for the next video where we talk more about the stone walls and the planting and all our ideas for that. And again, it would be brilliant if you could like and subscribe, share this with anyone who you think might be interested in people doing this kind of work, especially if they're in the UK and maybe thought they'd have to move abroad to do this sort of thing. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully everyone made it this far through. I will edit as much waffle out as I can. If you liked what you see, if you want to see how we progress, all the projects coming together, ponds as well, I've got to mention that, 2 ponds going in, possibly, if planning permission permitted, an outside cabin that's going to be like a workspace for me when I'm working from home, as that's going to overhang the pond. It's going to look really great. If you want to see any of this stuff coming together, please like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll build a bit of a channel out of this and see how it goes.